Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Yesterday, October 7th, 2016, Game 1 of the National League Divisional Series, the San Francisco Giants at the Chicago Cubs. It ended with definitive proof of how professional sports are scripted by the numbers. In case you missed my video in spring training, I said why the Chicago Cubs should win the World Series this year. It has everything to do with the number 108. The game-winning home run last night was hit on the 108th pitch, and there's a whole lot more to the story which we're going to cover. In case you're new here, I need to educate you about the language of gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. It's very relevant to Major League Baseball. So here's an introduction. Gematria, what you see right here, the word baseball sums to 54, and how this is calculated is by using the alphabetic order. B is the second letter, A the first, S the 19th, E the 5th. Using the alphabetic order, you convert the letters into numbers and you add the word. Baseball 54. Think about how in baseball there's 27 outs for each team. 27 outs, 27 plus 27, 54. And what do we call the Major League Baseball? We call it the MLB. MLB equals 27, like the number of outs for each team. The New York Yankees lead in World Series wins with 27, and that is not a coincidence. Major League in gematria sums to 108. It's been 108 years since the Cubs won the World Series. There's 108 stitches on a baseball. Special number. Major League Baseball, when you put it together, 108 plus 54 sums to 162, and that's how many games there are in the regular season of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball, 162 game season. There's also a form of gematria where you multiply each letter times 6 and then you add. MLB, 27 times 6 is also 162. So, gematria. Important to understand. When you learn this language, you can see how professional sports are scripted. Look at this. Here's the reporting. Javier Baez, homer in 8th, gives Cubs Game 1 against Giants. And by the way, the New York Giants in 1908 were instrumental in the Cubs World Series, which we'll also talk about. Here's the story. The pitcher blinked, though it did not come until the 8th inning on his 108th pitch, a 93-mile-per-hour fastball that caught too much of the plate. With regards to the 93-mile-per-hour fastball, it's hard to say if the ball was really traveling that fast, but I know why they reported it that way. This year, the Cubs won their 93rd game, becoming the first team to clinch a playoff berth. 93 is the number for Saturn, the keeper of the time. To occult esoteric knowledge, Saturn, keeper of time. This year, it's the Cubs' time by the numbers in the scripted MLB. The MLB has been scripted all the way back to 1908. Every year in between has been scripted. All of professional sports has been scripted in the history of the United States. MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL, all of it. So look at this. This shows you how well planned out it is. It's more than just the 108th pitch. This is the man who gave up the pitch last night. Johnny Brent Cueto Ortiz, born February 15th, 1986, gave up the pitch, the home run, on number 108. And look at his name in gematria. Johnny Brent Cueto Ortiz equals 108. Cubs on a 108-year drought. Game 1 of the playoffs, they win it with a home run on the 108th pitch. 108 stitches on a baseball. Major League equals 108. What this shows is exactly what I've been explaining for going on 3 years. Not only are sports scripted by the numbers, they're scripted to the box score, to the stat line, and these athletes who are participating, they are born and bred to participate in these theatrical performances. This man was born, bred, named accordingly, with a future plan. This is going on in all pro sports. I mean, how many times can I show the same thing? I just showed how the game-winning 3-run home runs in the AL wild card and the NL wild card, how the batter's names synced up perfectly with the moment, the right pitch. I said look for the number 74 even before the wild card games were played. Both batters who hit the walk-off home runs in the wild card games have names that equal 74. Wild card equals 74. Walk-off equals 74. One was a walk-off. The other was in the top of the ninth. Anyhow, they were both 3-run home runs. If you missed my videos on those, I'll link them in the description. And if you've missed my work, go back and see all that I've shown about all the sports and how they're scripted this way. These are not exclusive examples. These are just the latest examples, and if I had more time, I could go through more games and show you how it's the same way every single time. You pay attention to the games that are played today, it's going to be more of the same. The day this man was born, the pitcher with the 108 name, he has 103 birth numerology. The Cubs had a 103 win season. The number 103 is the 27th prime number. Again, MLB 27. This year we saw the Cleveland Cavaliers win the NBA Finals in their 103rd game of the season. LeBron had 27 points. I showed how during the NBA playoffs, the Cleveland Indians had the same schedule as the Cavs in terms of the cities they were playing, and they won and lost in the same pattern. And I said, watch, the Indians' win streak's going to end at 14 games because end equals 14. A lot of people back then who followed my work said, I think you're wrong about the Astros in the AL. I think it's going to be the Indians. And all those people following my work, following baseball, applying the knowledge, they were right. And again, you guys, I haven't watched a single baseball game all year. I made the call for the Cubs because I understand sports are scripted, something I've understood since I was a child. But now I figured out how they're scripted, and I'm teaching everybody for free. And a lot of people want to come here and hate because they've invested their whole lives in these fake rigged sports. Well, I'm trying to help you not invest any more time. You know what? You can choose to be in denial and continue to watch rigged sports if it entertains you, or you can choose to be a man and confront the reality of the situation and realize maybe there's better things to do in this world besides watching, overpaid assholes, millionaires who play in stadiums paid for by taxpayers who are never told all this time that they're being duped. I think if you have integrity, if you're not a coward, you'll realize that that is the way to look at it, and you won't validate it with your time and energy investment. So many people in this world want to validate the lie. The number 103, it's also a lot like the number 13. LeBron James this year, again, won with the Cavs in his 13th season. Cavs 103rd game. LeBron James had 27 points. Again, 103 is the 27th prime. Hours before Game 7, it was reported that the actor Anton Yelchin crunched himself, killing himself with his own car in his driveway at his home at age 27. And I showed how his birth numerology before the game was 103, and it was going to be the Cavs' 103rd game. Then what happened 27 days after the NBA Finals? Do you remember? Nate Thurmond dropped dead at age 74. Former player for the Warriors and Cavs, born in Dayton, Ohio, or Akron, Ohio, just like LeBron and Steph Curry. Has his number and jersey retired with both the Warriors and Cavs who were in the finals. I'm telling you, look at the face of Nate Thurmond. Nate Thurmond, who died 27 days after the NBA Finals, is clearly the father of LeBron James. Same height, same athletic build, great basketball players. There's a reason that they keep the secret, or keep so many secrets of who the fathers are of these professional athletes. It's because it's farming. They're farming athletes, genetics. It's all a big secret. It's all part of the big show, duping the fans. LeBron's father was ritually sacrificed for his championship. Nothing new there. Muhammad Ali was ritually sacrificed at the beginning of the NBA Finals for the championship. Muhammad Ali became boxing champion the last time the city of Cleveland won a pro sports championship. So this pitcher, from the day he gave up the home run to his upcoming birthday, also 131 days. Remember, 131 is that championship number. It's all riddles. When you write out World Series, it equals 57. Last year, Dave Henderson, at age 57, died 57 days after the World Series. He last played for the Royals, who won the World Series. Henderson equals 57. When you write out 57, it sums to the same thing as championship, the same thing as Super Bowl. This pitcher, Mr. 108, giving it up on the 108th pitch, 131 days before his birthday. The man who hit the home run, Javier Baez, 23 years old. I'll show you why that's significant. He got this home run 55 days before his upcoming birthday. Javier Baez. His birth name is Edno Baez, which in gematria sums to 37, like Chicago. He hit it for Chicago, the game winner, in the season scripted for Chicago. With regards to this coming 55 days before his birthday, Chicago Cubs equals 55, But it turns out this number is also important to the scripting of the 1908 World Series, the way it played out. Let's read about the Merkel-Boner from 1908 between the Cubs and the Giants, just like what this playoff series was. In 1908, the Chicago Cubs were playing the New York Giants. We just saw the San Francisco Giants advance over the New York Mets, once a New York team. September 23rd, 1908, the Chicago Cubs and New York Giants, involved in a tight pennant race, also involving the Pittsburgh Pirates, were tied in the bottom of the ninth inning at the Polo Grounds in New York. The Giants had runners on first and third and 2 outs when Al Bridwell hit a single to center field, scoring Moose McCormick from third with the Giants' apparent winning run. But the runner on first base, rookie Fred Merkel, thinking the game was over, went halfway to second and then sprinted to the clubhouse after McCormick touched home plate. As fans swarmed the field, Cub infielder Johnny Evans retrieved the ball and touched second. A force out was called at second base, nullifying the single, and because there were 2 outs when the play started, the run was also nullified and the inning ended. The game was declared a tie and would be made up at the end of the season if the Cubs and Giants were tied for first place. The incident became known as the Merkel-Boner. So had this game not gone this way, the Cubs, they would have never made the playoffs. This game ended up being instrumental in the Cubs making the playoffs and winning the last World Series that they did in 1908. It's so obvious that this was even scripted and staged back then, and it's the same type of thing. It's one of those plays where the fans just shake their head, pull their hair out, and can't explain it. How could you possibly play in Major League Baseball and not know the rules of baseball? Everybody who plays baseball knows how baseball works. You have to get to your base or there will be a force out. And if there's a force out for the third out, that means no runs that cross before the force out count. Everybody knows this. These are the rules of baseball. And look at how they try to do it to you. They say he was a rookie. And I can probably imagine the announcer back then going, "Oh, what a rookie mistake." It's not a rookie mistake. It's because sports have always been scripted. There's always been gambling on sports. There's always been an interest in making the games competitive and exciting to attract fanfare because it's a business. This is how they do it. All of you who can't see why sports would be scripted, it's just you choosing to be blind and ignorant. So anyway, they called that the Merkel-Boner. Remember, the Freemasons, the Zionist Jews, they've always run pro sports. Freemasonry created baseball as we know it. It created American football as we know it. The Zionist Jews, in a lot of their humor, in a lot of their mocking of the people, it all comes back to ass fuckery. The Merkel-Boner, this is called getting fucked in your ass with scripted sports. Did anyone just see the Cleveland Redskins football game this past weekend? Did anyone see what happened? The Cleveland Brown recovered the fumble. He recovered his own fumble, jumped up right away, and then the announcer was screaming how there was a pile for the ball while the Cleveland Brown with the running back was walking with the ball in his hand saying, "Oh no, I got the ball." The referee looks at the pile and declares that it's the Redskins' ball, and they give the ball to the Redskins while the whole time the Brown has the fumble in his hand. Do you know what happened there? The running back for the Browns screwed up in the script. He was not supposed to recover his own fumble. He was supposed to fumble, but he was not supposed to recover his own fumble. Perhaps he didn't hear the message clearly. His mistake has given us photographic evidence for all of eternity of how sports are scripted. And what I'm showing you with all of my work on this channel, it is definitive proof. I mean, to come in here and say that sports aren't scripted, you have to be retarded, truly. So anyway, this guy who hit the home run last night, 23 years old, Javier Baez, 23 sums to 55, 55 days from his birthday. It's against the Giants, who had the Merkel-Boner moment. I noticed that Merkel-Boner, the big way, also sums to 118. And at the beginning of the season, when I made my prediction, I pointed out that if the Cubs win the World Series, it'll be a big tribute to the next election. You know, Obama's in office with the Chicago connections. Hillary, been destined to be the next president for a while. Hillary with the Chicago connections, that's her birthplace. The election's on November 8th. Sports are synced up with other things going on in the world, such as one president passing it on to the next from the same party who have Chicago connections. Again, this was the same year, the Merkel-Boner moment, that the Cubs defeated the Detroit Tigers in the World Series. So, with regards to the Cubs winning 103 games this year, 103 games and it having that parallel to Cleveland, and remembering how the Cleveland baseball team was mirroring what the Cleveland Cavaliers were doing in the NBA playoffs. If you missed that video, I'll link it in the description. That was one of the few baseball videos I did mid-season. I didn't do a lot of work on baseball this year. I made a spring training pick. I showed how the first no-hitter of the season was by the Cubs. It was by Arrieta on the 112th day of the year, the same day Prince died at age 57, World Series 57. Arrieta got the first no-hitter of the season 46 days after his birthday, Chicago 46. I said that was a good sign for the Cubs to be in the World Series. That was April 21st, 112th day of the year. I documented what happened with the Indians, and I also documented the significance of Miguel Montero's walk-off home run for the Cubs' 94th win of the season, 47 days before Game 7 of the World Series, what it's scheduled for, November 2nd, 112th World Series. Miguel Montero, number 47, hit a walk-off home run for the Cubs' 94th win of the season, 47 days before what will be Game 7. When you write out 94 as a word, it sums to the same thing as World Series, which is 147. I'll just show this to you. Check this out. The Cubs got their 94th win this year. 94th win in their 147th game. And the season this year began on April 3rd, 2016. It was a leap year, so the season began on the 94th day of the year. When the Cubs won this game, Vegas gave them 9-4 odds of winning the World Series. 94, a big number on the year. Cubs' 94th win in the 147th game. Miguel Montero, number 47, walk-off 47 days before what will be Game 7. Pretty sure we're going to see Cubs win it in Game 7. And, you know, I thought it might be the Astros. I thought it might be the Rangers. I picked last night, even before the Rangers were eliminated. You know, looking at this 103 thing and really thinking about it, I'm going, you know what? Cleveland, Chicago, CC 33. I think I like this. Chicago and the Cubs. Think about how, or not Chicago and the Cubs, Cleveland and the Cubs, Cleveland Indians, Chicago Cubs. Think about how the Indians are starting their playoff series against the Boston Red Sox, who Theo Epstein used to be the general manager for. He broke the 86-year curse of the Bambino. Then he came over to the Cubs, who have an even longer-going curse. Theo Epstein, the Jewish Zionist, is about to become a baseball legend only because he's been chosen to be in the right place at the right time for these scripted outcomes. I do wonder how these people are chosen, what their family did. Something's going on behind the scenes. Thinking about the Cleveland Indians, I had to check out Major League, the baseball movie. Look at the time on this movie, hour 47. Hour 47, World Series 147. This movie came out 27 years ago, MLB 27, about the Cleveland Indians. Came out on April 7th, can be written 4/7 or 7/4, those important numbers to Freemasonry, very important to these playoffs. That's why I said look for 74 in the wild card round. 2 players hit home runs to win the game with 74 names. Again, Major League equals 108, that special number. Perhaps all this time telling us that they're going to be the team to face the Cubs when the day rolls around, 108 years later. The day this film came out, date with 119 numerology, all seeing eye equals 119, Star of David, symbols of the Masons and Zionists. Think about how the wild card round, the first game went to 11 games, the second game went to... The first wild card game went to 11 innings. The second wild card game went to 9 innings. 11, 9, 1, 1, 9. Scripted home runs. I was also thinking about how the Cavs this year, Cleveland Cavaliers, who broke their city curse, it was their the Cavs were 45 years old this past season. Cavs were in their 46th season. They were 45 years old. The Cubs got the 45 connection. The last time they were in a World Series, 1945. Cubs equals 45. Wrigley 45. Illinois 45. This film begins with this dialogue, too. This woman saying, I know it might not seem the same without Donald here. And I just got to wonder how scripted and planned out all this really is. You know, Donald Trump became a celebrity in 1984. Our elections are rigged. Our sports are rigged. They're all planned out way in advance. These people are farmed to be, from athletes to politicians to actors. What if this was a clue for Hillary? You know, a woman runs the Indians in this movie. What if this was a subtle clue for Hillary? Because I'm telling you, this election, it's got something, or this World Series got something to do with the election. Donald, no longer on the TV. Donald will be gone and forgotten. He'll be remembered as Pigman, who lost to Hillary, the first female president. Here's another shot early in the movie. The man that they picked to be the Indians manager, why is he wearing number 34? Indian equals 33. Indians equals 34. Indians 34, the Indians manager in the movie wearing 34. And who's the other player they got next to him? A guy in 16? What year is it this year? Is it about to be Cleveland Indians and Chicago Cubs? Charlie Sheen, Wild Thing in this movie, wears the number 99. Illinois has the 99 as well as the 45 connection. His name, Wild Thing, has that gematria of 106 and 52. Numbers of prophecy. Those are the numbers the Cleveland Cavaliers won their NBA championship by this year. A championship I predicted at the beginning of the season. I said this was the Cavs year. When the Cavs were down 3-1, I didn't flinch. I said, watch, Cavs will be winning. This is the time to bet. They won. It's all scripted. And they won just by these numbers, 106 and 52. The day they went on, everything was 106. It was the 106th Father's Day. It was the real King James's birthday. He was born on a date with 106 numerology. It was the Warriors' 106th game of the season. They were playing in Oracle Arena, which is 106 feet tall. California equals 52. It broke the 52-year drought for the Cavs. Numbers of prophecy, always important. In this film, also, the plot is that the owner wants to sell the team to Miami. The last time the Indians were in a real World Series, they played against Miami. Also, the Cubs in Miami have some history. Remember the Cubs? They had the Steve Bartman incident in the National League Championship Series. Steve Bartman interrupted it, kept the Cubs out of the World Series. That was against the Marlins. In Back to the Future, in USA Today, when he travels in time, he sees that the Cubs win the World Series against the Florida team, which is the Marlins. This year, the Marlins lost Fernandez, their pitcher, by the numbers. The Marlins established in 93. Fernandez equals 93. A lot of curious things about his death. Anyway, USA Today in Back to the Future, which shows the Cubs winning over the Florida team, has the 106 connection. And what I'm trying to say is the Indians and the Cubs seemingly have parallels to Florida. So perhaps the riddle is Cubs and Indians coming together. You know, the people who run your media are the same people who run Hollywood that run your professional sports. The Freemasons, the Zionist Jews. So one other note. Thursday night football this week. Just before the night of the Cubs-Giants game starting. Here's what I noticed about this. The Cardinals won, and maybe you don't realize this, but the Cardinals are one of two original teams in the NFL, and they're from Chicago. Chicago is the birthplace of the NFL. So the Cardinals have Chicago connections. The 49ers are in San Francisco, just like the Giants, who the Cubs are playing. So Cardinals have the Chicago connection, like Chicago Cubs. 49ers have the San Francisco connection, like the San Francisco Giants. This game, I did a preview for it, and I said, watch, everything is 52 in this game. Everything was coded 52. Watch my preview video. At the end of this game, the score was 31-21, but the 49ers took a safety at the very end, making it 33-21. Cardinals from the 33rd parallel won. 33 plus 21 is 54, our number for baseball. And all of these sports leagues are scripted, rigged, to the point. They're all tributes to each other. They're riddles and numbers. You have to see what they're doing. The powers that be, they have all the knowledge. They're holding all the cards. They're the one plotting out the riddles. But if you have enough sports knowledge, you can see what's going on. This football game on October 6th, Prophecy Day, I think this was, a foreshadowing of what's to come for the Cubs as well. Played the night before our game with the 108th pitch, getting bombed, thrown by the pitcher with the 108 name gematria. Gematria gives you the eyes to see. If you don't want the eyes to see, I guess you just want to be ignorant. You want to keep getting played by the people who give you the nicknames like Merkel Boner. I guess some people don't mind getting fucked in the ass. Until next time, True forgot a crucial piece. This game being played on October 7th was no coincidence either. Notice the game was on 10/7, and the Cubs as a team had 107 pitches. It's been 108 years since the Cubs won the World Series, but it's only been 107 seasons because of the lockout season in 1994. So 107 pitches on 10/7, the 108th pitch, you know the story. Notice the Giants also had 118 pitches. Again, there might be an election connection, and the election is November 8th, 11/8. Also connecting to that Merkel Boner. Until next time.